were you part of the pitching process for the ARG, or was it just assigned to you?
No, I mean the company, my company was founded on the premise of Public City, the ARG. You know, it was VC funded. It had angel funding when I joined, and then during the first few months I was there, we had to go and get another round of funding. Um, Obviously, yeah, I was kind of somewhat involved in that, but not really a lot. But yeah, I was kind of very aware of what happened. This is 2004. We didn't have Kickstarter and things like that. It was just it was like classic, tech startup kind of thing.
Okay. What was the what was the planning timeline for preparing to launch it? Was there a lot of prep time before you actually launched it, or was it already in motion?
There was like a reasonable amount, but there was so much stuff to make. I mean, 200. I mean, Season 1 was supposed to have 256 of these puzzle cards, and trying to make, good-looking cards with original puzzles are all tied into this massive mystery, and dozens of websites and things like that. We ended up launching before it was all done because we released these things in waves, and we released wave 1 of the cards, which is 128, half of the cards. I think after like 6 months or maybe longer. And then we were just in production continuously. I mean, that's what happens with long ARG. You just are in continuous production. You never stop, and it's a bit like a massively multiplayer online game like World of Warcraft. I mean, not all ARGs are like that. Most ARGs are shorter. They're only like a couple of months. Public City, I think, was probably the longest running ARG at like 12 or 18 months. I don't think anything has really matched it yet.
Well, was there a time limit that you were expecting the game to run? I mean, did you have a plan for how long it was supposed to go?
I mean, we wanted it to all be done within 9 months, so it ended up taking twice as long as envisaged. And there were a few reasons for that. One was that we wanted to give it a bit more time to sort of get traction. The other reason was simply production. These puzzle cards were kind of non-standard in pretty much every single way you can imagine. I mean, they were non-standard size, they were non-standard sorting, they were on higher quality stock. They had all sorts of crazy special effects like thermal, heat-sensitive ink, micro dots, light-sensitive ink, scratch and smell, unique codes. Basically, we got like the book of special effects, and we said, right, we want all of it. And we used printers in Italy, and it turns out they're not the fastest in the world. So yeah, everything just took way longer than we thought, honestly. And it's crazy to think about it because I didn't have any experience in. I mean, the problem is no one really had any experience in making an ARG like this. I probably had the most experience, but that doesn't mean that I had quite a lot. One of the issues was that we also didn't have much experience in printing cards, which was kind of both a bad thing and a good thing. It was a bad thing because we didn't really understand the logistics as well as we could have. It was a good thing because we tried new things that other manufacturers just would never have thought of.
So were the cards the main source of funding after the initial investment, and is that what kept it going?
Yeah, the cards cost something like $5 a pack, $4 or $5 a pack, and we sold I don't know, a couple of 100,000. I'm not sure. Like, I don't have the full. I mean, it made it sold a reasonable amount. We were hoping it would sell more, honestly, but there are a lot of reasons why it didn't, I think. But yeah, I mean, people paid money for this, and yeah, lots of cards were sold.
And it was a worldwide production? Like, you had participants from all over the world?
Yeah, it was worldwide. I mean, most of our players from the US and UK. It was an English language game. We had relationships with retailers, mostly in the UK and the US.
And the cube was buried in the UK?
And the cube was buried in the UK. We always kind of said, well, it could be anywhere in the world, but yeah, most people would guess that it was in the UK.
If you went back, knowing what you know now, would you have made cheaper, like more standardized kind of cards?
I would have made, yes, I would have not been so precious about wanting these to look, totally awesome. I would have made smaller cards. I'd probably use different printers. Maybe in China, they would have gone out faster, even though shipping would have taken longer. I would have spent more time on sales. Believe it or not, we spent basically zero time on sales. We just kind of expected people to come to us, and they kind of did. To an extent, that kind of worked, but it was clear that, getting these things into retail stores, it's not easy. People have lead times and all this stuff. It's not like selling stuff online. It's not like being an internet retailer. So it was this weird in-between time where we had this capability of making the ARG, but there was no Twitter. Facebook was basically not really, it was still restricted to US universities.
Yeah, so how did you get a customer base initially? I mean, you must have had some promotional something or other.
We barely did PR. It was all viral stuff, and people the idea. I mean, it was it caught BBC. We were on CBS. All this. But it was 2005, so it just it didn't have quite the same effect. I mean, there was just fewer people online. Have social media as we know it back then, and so it just wasn't powerful.